Hello, Abnormal Investigations. It is good to see everybody. I've got another drop for y'all today. I hope you enjoy it. Wow, we had a great live the last two nights. If you have not seen those lives, you need to check them out. There were some really interesting lives and a lot of information. Everybody loved them. They're over 1,000. And I'd like to say, Hunter, I love and miss you so very much. Wish I could see you, and I would if I could. But unfortunately, these lies have kept us apart. But I do miss you so very much. Alright, guys, let's jump into this encounter. This is by far the most pure, primal terror I have ever felt in my life. I have had my fair share of paranormal experiences, but this was the first time that I truly felt that my life was in danger. I love the woods. I always have. So when the winter weather looked and took a brief break, my husband and I decided to go on a little weekend trip up in the mountains. Just the two of us. Our three young daughters were thrilled at the opportunity to have a sleepover at Grandma and Grandpa's house, too. So my husband, I'll call him Peter for the sake of this story, packed our bags, gave our girls a kiss and a hug goodbye as they made a stampede for Grandma and Grandpa's backyard swing set, and we hit the road. It was a beautiful drive out where we'd be staying. Hubby did an amazing job of finding a last-minute rental cabin, and boy did he pick a good one. The place was absolutely gorgeous, not just in mountain view, but the whole house. The place was huge, probably a bit too much for just the two people. But hey, what's the harm in living it up once in a while, right? We spent the first evening there enjoying homemade pina coladas in the hot tub. It was wonderful. The next day we planned to spend the day in the woods. We packed our gear and set off into the gorgeous mist-blanketed forest. The first several hours were amazing, like something straight out of a cliché, but romantic movie of puppy love that my husband and I hadn't experienced in quite a while. Dates and quality time aren't always easy when you have three little ones. We packed a picnic lunch and ate it by a big fallen log, spent some time quietly watching a group of deer and competing for who could spot the most different kinds of birds. These are all memories that I still share and hold very dear, but after nightfall, well, I prefer to try to block that part out. The sun was setting and we were making our way back to our cabin. It wasn't hard. We'd stayed on the pre-carved trails and we were armed with a map that the folks who rented us the cabin left us. But soon into our trek I began to get a bad feeling. I felt like we were being watched, followed even. It was subtle. At first, twigs snapping just out of reach of our headlamps and flashlights, and the like. But soon I began to notice the forest going quiet, a well-known red flag to anyone who has spent time in the great outdoors. My husband sensed it too, I could tell, as we both picked up the pace. Soon the subtle snapping sounds turned into heavier, more deliberate footsteps that kept time with ours. But these footsteps did not sound like what you would expect to hear in the woods, like a deer or a bear or even a cougar. No, these were too similar to ours. They were definitely bipedal. The footfall sounded deliberately loud, like whatever it was perfectly capable of being silent but wanted us to know it was there. Our walk turned into a speed walk, which turned into a jog, which turned into a run, and whatever was out there sped up right along with us the faster we would go. We were abruptly stopped in our tracks by an entire freaking tree falling across the path. It fell right in front of us, mere feet in front of us, a very large tree. Peter and I shared a horrified look and slowly turned to look into the woods. We couldn't see much thanks to the underbrush, but we could vaguely make out a crouched shape watching us from behind what was left of the fallen tree stump. The shape was that of a human, but something was very wrong. Its posture was just too tightly crouched, almost contorted, on its haunches like a puma, and the eyes, those eyes I will never forget, shining in the beam of our flashlights were two bright red eyes that stared us down, blinking slowly as if daring us to make a move. Then a sound began to come from the creature. A throaty sort of trilling like deep growl that reminded me of Jurassic Park, like a velociraptor, along with the chuffing of a tiger. It was at that moment that I felt true terror. I felt like an antelope on one of those nature documentaries, face to face with the lioness, knowing its chances were not good. Finally, this thing began to stand up on two legs, looking more like a human than ever now, which heightened my fear even more. Something was very wrong. It looked like a woman with a mane of long fluffy hair, framing its head as it cocked and looked at us. Or she took a step forward, and that was it. Fight or flight kicked in, and my husband and I threw ourselves over the fallen tree trunk, and we ran for our lives. The monster gave chase, jogging alongside us as if we were barely moving at all, before moving out ahead of us, and to our horror, blocking our path yet again. It looked like a cross between a lion and a woman. I grabbed my husband's hand tightly, honestly thinking that this was going to be the end, that we were going to die out here at the hands of this creature. I couldn't help the tears that ran down my face, and I could faintly hear Peter sobbing softly too. I will never forget the wicked, sharp-toothed smile that spread across this thing's face as it stared me in the eyes, toying with us, seeming to relish in our terror. In the next moment, it was like our minds synced up, because without a single word we made a break for it, a last-ditch effort to get away and make it home to our daughters. We went around the figure on either side before joining hands again and running and praying as hard as we could. The sounds of pursuit and almost bird-like squawks and growls were right on our trails, until we finally saw the light of the cabin and burst through the tree line. She stopped chasing us then, stopped right at the tree line. I could not resist a glance back, and I saw the figure turn and walk back into the woods. But why? She had us. I know she did. Why did this monster, perfectly capable of ending us both in one quick motion, why did she let us go? Needless to say, we packed up and we headed home for that very night. We discussed theories and thanked the Lord for our protection. Maybe we had exited her territory. Maybe we just looked like we tasted bad. I don't know what happened, Mike. Why do you think she spared us? We made it home to hug our daughters, and that was all that really mattered to us. But still this question lingers in our minds and comes up in conversation almost daily. Who or what was our guest in the woods that night? Many theories have been thrown around by my friends. I think one of the things that saved you, I think you actually said in this story, you said you both started running and praying. And I believe that whenever you started praying, that put a protection around you. And the reason she stopped at the wood line is I believe that there is a barrier. That property at the house she was staying at, since she was praying, I believe was, if you will, holy ground. It was protected. Was you on her territory? Probably, absolutely. She was trying to remove you from her territory. And she probably would have ended you guys, except for when you started running, you all started praying. And whenever you pray, there is power in the name. And that's probably what saved you, I would say. That would be my guess. Guys, if you don't mind, our likes are down just a little bit on our videos. Would you please select the like button? Share us out on your social media groups. Let's keep this group growing. And hitting that like button means so very much. So if you would, just take the time to click it. It doesn't cost a thing, and it helps so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And don't forget, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the comments.